the... All right, I'll continue. We are a not-for-profit process-based arts initiative founded in 2009 by Dipti and Dattaraj Salgaonkar, today with the patronage of Ishita Salgaonkar, with the vision to create a thriving arts environment in Goa that would build a community that is culturally sensitive and informed. For those of you who know us and who have been visiting us, we have been a hub for artists, writers, musicians, filmmakers, architects to gather, share their ideas and knowledge. At Sunaprant, we believe that culture influences how we look at and understand things around us. We have been dedicated to inculcating this principle of art's function to shape us, form our values, and encourage new ways to approach and live in this world. In our commitment to building a more inclusive and critically engaged society, we encourage research that is dedicated to expanding aesthetic inquiry, challenging the paradigm of arts, strategies, and practices, and provoking awareness of the vital role of art in shaping humanity. Through exhibition making and pedagogy, we incorporate various strategies that reflect the history of the place in which we operate, the perceptions of our publics, and locating this within critical discourse and art history. Over the years, we have been an enabler from where questions concerning our social and cultural environment can be addressed, and this is reflected across the spectrum of our work. We promote a range of cultural activities across various media, geographies, and time frames. Our exhibition formats are directed towards generating a laboratory of ideas that inspire new ways to think about urbanism, architecture, science, technology, education, sustainability, human behavior. Research and knowledge production is a core strength at our foundation. Our pedagogical programs include the Sunaprant Art Initiator Lab, which is our mentorship program that is practice-based and gives the opportunity for creative professionals from various streams to refine their practices through sorry, the tech people, could you just
What's happening with the computer guys, tech?
Yeah,
You're fixing it. He's coming. He's coming.
Okay, all right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, I'll just continue, which allows creative professionals from various streams to refine practices using innovative learning and unlearning methodologies. We also run an artist-in-residence lab, which is research-based and offers artists the opportunity to critically examine practices through exchange and dialogue. For cultural operators producing scholarly work in various creative fields, we run a fellowship program. No, it's not working. Anyways, you'll see the pictures once it comes on again. And we also run an art and theater school that places children at the forefront of learning and thinking, where they become the protagonists in open and process-based art and theater practices. I'll just run you through some of the images. These are some images from our mentorship program. The exhibition is presently on, which culminates edition 1 of SAIL. These are some images from our artist-in-residence lab. Being close to our community is at the heart of what we do, and over the years, many of our projects favor a collaborative model in which people become an invaluable asset in the work. Through dialogue and participation, such projects encourage us to reflect on what art can offer us and also to share ideas on what kind of future we want to build together. The various projects you will see point out at how socially engaged practices bring closer together art and life. So we will be highlighting the value of this practice, why it resonates in our societies, how it encourages people to come together to think about what art does, and how it opens up spaces for creativity and critical thinking. The first project is called Blue Shore Silent. It was a project that was actually initiated in 2009 by our former director, late Margaret Mascarenas, and Swati Kotwal Nair. It was a prison reform project that was carried out at the Central Jail at Aguada, where Margaret and Swati worked together with a selected group of inmates. Many of them were serving life sentences for a period of 1 year. During that year, the inmates were exposed to a curriculum that was specifically art-centered, so they were exposed to language arts, painting, performance, and at the end of that project, there was an exhibition that showcased the works that were produced by the inmates. Now, the intent behind this initiative was to develop a model that could be continued after the span of 1 year at Aguada, and also to be replicated by other prisons. It was also a way to study the effects that creative learning had on reform and rehabilitation of prison inmates. Some of the images from the exhibition. The next project is Yatra by a Portuguese artist, Patricia Geraldes, that was done at the Immaculate Conception Church in Panjim. The installation takes the form of these ribbons that appear to be falling from the sky, turning it into a space of introspection, reflection, and wonder. Crossover Love Club was a participatory and relational project that was initiated by the artist Sunshine Ghosh. Goa has a long history of interracial crossovers, and Sunshine was interrogating and contesting the idea of singular racial and national identity. So within the context of Goa, he began an exercise to map the coexistence of mixed communities. He set up a Crossover Love Club that functioned as both a physical and online site, and it was activated at Sunaprant. Couples, children, people of mixed race were invited to share their stories, experiences, and struggles of interracial crossover love. Now, Pallavi Paul's project was actually initiated just before the Janta curfew in 2020, when we wanted to stay close and engaged with our community, but in a more thought-provoking and introspective manner. And so we announced an open call called Surviving SQ, Surviving Self-Quarantine, where we invited artists to share with us strategies on how to cope with isolation. As part of this initiative, we ran a series of full-fledged projects. Pallavi's is one of them. In Share Your Quiet, the artist was questioning whether silence could be measured. So we started inviting people to send us recordings of silence, sounds that were old, that were newly discovered, and the recordings that we received, we transformed these into a symphony of silence that was streamed every week for a period of 3 to 4 months on social media platforms. The project received recordings of over 1,000 people from Norway, Serbia, Japan, New Zealand, New York, Milan, Paris. I'm just going to play a video, I don't know, too. Okay, right. This is one of the symphonies. Lonely Residence was another project that we ran at the time. In this project, Kedar Dondu, who is an artist that is based here in Goa, began a study of people adjusting and adapting to life indoors. Those who wanted to participate sent the artist a frontal portrait of themselves together with a note on how they were passing their time. Kedar transformed these into drawings on paper and turned this into an archive of frozen moments of residents surviving a difficult and challenging quarantine in their homes. Let There Be Bounty Every Day is a video series by Parag Tandal, who spent his lockdown together with his mother, cooking recipes. Tandal belongs to the Koli community in Thane district in Bombay, and during these weeks, fresh fish was unavailable. So Tandal and his mother began to open up their reservoir of dried seafood. Now, preserving and storing food is a common custom amongst the Kolis. So every week, Parag and his mother would share with us recipes using the seafood and ingredients that are found and cooked only in Koli homes. The stories and recipes are part of the Tandal Fund of Archives, promoting cultural narratives that form part of Bombay's layered history. I'm just going to play a video from that project. Now, finally, the Corona Quill project that Vivek had mentioned. In February last year, patron Ishita Salgaonkar had heard about this initiative, and she felt that it created an unparalleled method of storytelling that was inclusive and meaningful, and wanted to find a way to bring this to Goa. So she discussed this with us, and we were all excited by the idea. At the time, the second wave was starting to hit us. But in spite of this, our team, we are a team of 4 women, decided to bring this project to life in Goa. In the midst of a devastating second wave, we announced an open call inviting all of Goa to join a people's campaign. We appealed to villages, families, friends, schools, colleges, NGOs, spiritual centers to send us their experience of that moment on a piece of fabric. In the 6 months that we ran the campaign, we watched a humble and local project evolve into a transnational community effort and endeavor. We collected an archive of over 6,000 stories from Goa and places as far as Chandigarh, Assam, Portugal, Japan, UK, among other places. Now, the invite letters for the Goa edition of the Corona Quill project asked people to complete the sentence, "Love is." Love is a value that is often dismissed or ignored. So our team of women focused all our attention on this theme and centered our efforts on how we cared for each other, how we found strength in each other, and how together we grieved the loss of our dear and beloved ones. And this is manifested in the 6,000 expressions that we received. The project took place in 2 phases. In phase 1, it was important for us to create a space of dialogue, learning, and sharing. So each member of our team mobilized various strategies, both physical and virtual, to reach out to various publics. We conducted creative activities at schools and NGOs. We ran training sessions for teachers who in turn facilitated the process to their students. Undergraduate colleges ran campaigns on social media platforms. We also held a memorial concert for musicians we had lost at the time. For phase 2 of the project, it was important. What we did was we collected the 6,000 stories and wove them together, transformed them into these large quills. We wanted to unveil the work at the time of Christmas in December as a way to reflect upon the meaning of the season, and also to give tribute to the people of Goa and their memories. Now, as we had a long-standing relationship with the Panjim Church, we approached Father Walter, and he believed in our vision and came on board as our collaborator. Together, we believed that the messages of love, hope, unity needed to spread widely within our communities, and that the steps leading to the Panjim Church was the perfect site for the project. For the design, we wanted to create a blooming garden. Now, a garden is the gatherer of a community. It's also a sign of abundance and peace. So for all those parishioners and visitors walking up the church, they would be greeted by this floating and floral tableau. Some images from the second phase of the project. Amongst the many memories that I have of this project was at one of the old age homes where a woman remarked on how the project gave voice to those who had been forgotten. It was heartening to observe how a square piece of cloth and a creative act enabled a shift in perspective and transcended boundaries, growing from Altin in Panjim to the red light district in Mumbai and tea plantation workers in Assam. And such projects are also a reflection of how the creative gesture encourages people to gather collectively and unexpectedly, and how they progress from knowing about what art is to wondering about what the meaning of life is. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Leandra. That was an interesting project because I did think that at a time, the interesting thing about it caused a little bit of controversy, but the interesting thing was it focused our attention on the fact that there was a pandemic and that we had lost a lot of people. And this took place at a time when the state had reopened tourism with quite a bang. And the idea of the pandemic was almost an afterthought, that whether the pandemic existed or not even. Is there anyone else here who'd like to ask a question or make a statement? No? Thank you very much, Leandra.
Thank you. Thank you,
Team Sonaparanta. The fact that we were all able to participate together in this inaugural Liberty of Light Festival makes a big difference. Collaboration, participation, community. I'd like to ask you to please keep your seats for a very special session that we've planned. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. I will also participate. It's called Call Me By My Name. It's with Rakshanda Jalil in conversation.